Hello there, Lupton again here from BAL and going through our BAL tiling A to Z, and you can probably see I'm smiling because it's the 25th time I've tried to do this video. You join me, as you can clearly see, from the desk in my little boy's room, so welcome. We're going to talk about U today for uncoupling membranes, and some of us may know them as anti-fracture membranes, anti-crack mats, decoupling mats and membranes, and clearly, again, as I've said in previous videos, different areas of the country we use different terminology. So we want to talk about uncoupling systems to give them their formal name. The systems are a huge part of our industry these days, and I suppose, relatively speaking, a modern day invention that's been around for 25 to 30 years now, but it might surprise you to know that the technology and the concept has been around for over 2,000 years, and it was actually first used by the Romans. And although they clearly didn't have plastics and fleeces and unwoven polypropylenes, for example, they clearly understood the reasons and the concept and ways to prevent their beautiful mosaics from cracking under the strains of things like heated floors, for example. And the Romans did this with nothing more than sand, believe it or not, and consequently we can still see evidence of those tiled floors to this day. Uncoupling membranes work by managing the lateral stress from a given substrate and to limit that stress from being passed into the tile installation. Now, of course, I'm at home today and I've got limited resources at this moment in time, but I will try and show you a little crude demonstration as to how uncoupling works. So if you take my hand being the tile, you take this hand being the substrate, we adhere them together, the substrate moves, the tile moves, crack, grout, delaminations, tenting, right? Okay, that's some of the problems that we get with lateral stresses. If you take my substrate again, you now install an uncoupling system or an intermediate system, and we bond a tile to that system. The floor now moves, and effectively the tile installation stays fairly still and intact over above. So that is a really crude sort of demonstration as to how uncoupling works, but I hope you can sort of get the gist. First and foremost, let's dispel some myths and misconceptions about the use of uncoupling systems. And number one is that uncoupling systems do not strengthen a floor in any way. As mentioned, they manage lateral stress only. You cannot bridge movement joints or substrate junctions such as timber to concrete, which you may see in a house where an extension has been placed. Okay, you may find that the load or the additional dead load that's now been placed onto the timber side may have a cantilever in effect, and it may just dip a little bit under the extra weight, and no uncoupling membrane will ever guard you against the crack that you may see appear in the tile installation above. So that's a typical place where you would see a movement joint used. Okay, you cannot tile on a heated floor any faster with an uncoupling membrane. Screeds must always be commissioned for heating prior to any installation. You cannot tile indefinitely for meters upon meters upon meters without the use of intermediate or perimeter movement joints. Floors must still always be flat within a tolerance. The tolerance that we work to is something called SR1, and we can talk to you about that another time if you really want to. But essentially, floors must be flat. Packing up adhesives over an uncoupling mat will void the performance of the mat. Again, it's generally not recommended to use an S2 adhesive with an uncoupling system, as again it will void the system performance. Ultimately, in a nutshell, the rules and guidance on tiling does not change with the introduction of an uncoupling system. The rules stay the same. Of course, I'll just give you some things that you can do with uncoupling systems, and again I'm going to talk to you about BAL systems. I could talk to you about alternative systems out there, but again it wouldn't be proper or professional to do that. So again, I'm going to let you know some things that you can do with the BAL uncoupling systems and what we can achieve with those. So what the uncoupling systems do generally is manage modern day stresses. Today's tiling has more stresses than ever before, probably notably of late things like large format tiles coming in, which means we have fewer joints. And again, when I started tiling, we used to put 5mm joints on floors, even 10mm joints on floors I've seen as well. But today people want narrower joints. So again, we can work down to a 3mm joint, but again, you combine that with a large tile, there's fewer places for the tile installation to actually absorb that stress. We also have things like underfloor heating that's now present, and also time constraints as well, where people want work done ever faster. Okay, uncoupling systems relieve stresses where weaknesses in the finish may be an issue. So again, maybe the tile or the stone of choice may be something that's a little bit weak, such as marble or travertine or something like that. Again, stresses going through from the floor can obviously damage and crack those tiles. You could tile on a non-heated sanding cement screed in as little as 24 hours as opposed to 3 weeks. You could tile on a non-heated concrete after a week as opposed to 6 weeks. You can bridge stress cracks, not to be confused with a movement joint. In fact, it's actually recommended to use an uncoupling system where stress cracks are visible on your floor. At BAL, we have award-winning uncoupling systems to suit your need and installation type, whether that's a ultra-thin material such as rapid mat for increased speed, ease of use, a 20% reduction in adhesive costs and usage. We do have, let's call it a traditional plastic waterproof cavity based system for those traditional guys who like that type of look and feel to a system. So we have Flexbone Varied. We also have the mind-blowing, and it is mind-blowing, non-bonded Flexbone Too Easy. Of course, I showed you that a little earlier, which means you no longer have to remove paints or latents from an hydrite screeds or from power floated concrete floors, for example, because it's not bonded. And of course, because it's not bonded, there's no priming needed or adhesives even to bond the system. And you could tile, for example, on an hydrite screed anything from 30 to 60 days faster than a traditional solution. So look out for that system. And believe it or not, we also have an uncoupling adhesive within our range as well. That's a product that we call Single Part Fast Flex, which is our S2 adhesive. Highly flexible beyond belief, and this can actually be used as an uncoupling system when you get a solid bed, as obviously we would recommend. It also offers sound reduction qualities because it uses recycled materials and rubber crumb, so it's clearly or it's part of our Go Greener range. We can even bond to steel with it, as well as regular cement based and timber based backgrounds too. So of course, you know, we could talk about uncoupling systems for a long time, the various systems and solutions out there, but ultimately we want you to have a system or a solution that suits your need. We hope you found this information useful, and that this chat has cleared up one or two things for you. Ultimately, all we want for you is, whoever you are, installer, architect and specifier, contractor, main contractor, supplier, what we want for us, you and our industry is long-lasting performing tile installations. So as always, feel free to get in touch with any of our team and we will give you all the support and advice you need. Thank you very much and stay safe.